Hey guys! Today we're going to be building a modern and minimalistic greenhouse. I thought that this build would be perfect, especially now that it's springtime. This build is definitely my style, and I was also able to find a lot of good references off of Pinterest. And with all that being said, let's get on to the build. So going off based of my Pinterest references, I knew that this build was going to be white based, so I put pillars to start a foundation, and then after that I filled it in with some light stone gray walls. I often use this color in my builds just because it's not such a harsh white, it's a warm tone, so that's why it's usually my default wall color. So I made a decision to use the pre-made modern windows because they have this classical look to them, in my opinion, especially when you resize them like I did and color them white. And when you pair that with like trim, it gives this really fancy look that I really favor in my builds, especially when I'm doing something that's like garden related. I love just like a mythical or like royal look. So that's why I chose these windows, and you'll see me later go around them with like structural trim just to give it a little bit more detail. Okay, so once I started finishing up the windows, I just went around the rest of the build and added more reinforcement like wall trims and roof trims. And I then made like an opening for a custom door, and I decided on making these really cute double French doors that you'll see later on in the video, and I'll talk about them more when I get there because I would rather you guys see it visually while I'm talking about it rather than just like hear me talking about it, because I know some people are visual learners and some are auditory learners and some are hands-on learners, so I'd rather just demonstrate that for you guys in a little bit. And then the last thing you see me do here is try to add this triangle roof, but like it doesn't work, so I just end up using a flat roof. I don't know what it is about me, but I just love flat roofs. Alright, so here I was laying the basis for the double doors I was gonna make, and I'm just using structural beams, and then you'll see me flatten them just so that they look more close to the door frame instead of poking out. And then I'll just add another trim to the roof just because I guess I was feeling like it. I don't know, maybe I thought it gave it more of a fancy look, so yeah. But that's just how I started the door, and I just transformed it to where I needed it to be. I didn't want it too tall because obviously we don't need the door that all the way to the roof, so yeah. I just transformed it, and yeah, so if you guys remake this, you can just make it to where you need it to be. So after I got the basic frame of the door, I just went and used the structural rods to add more detail and depth to the door because it was looking too flat for my liking. So I was like, let me just make that three-dimensional. So yeah, I just used that, and I forgot, I think I was using the standard size. Yeah, so I usually just use, like, for the rods, standard size and the smaller size if I'm making something custom. And yeah, so that's what I did. I was just going in and out. Alright, so I think I explained the bulk of how I made the door frame until we get to the French door section. I think that talking about the details of the build is gonna get a little boring. So let's talk about spring. So spring, I would say, is probably my third favorite season. My first favorite season, I would have to say, is autumn or fall. And then my second is definitely winter, and my third is spring, and fourth would be summer. It's kind of weird because I'm from Florida, so I should like the sun, yeah, but when you're light sensitive and you can barely go outside without wearing sunglasses for like 10 minutes without getting a migraine, kind of gets to you. Anyways, we're now onto the French door part. So here I just used basic shapes, and I approximately have the door frame just so I could get the doors, and usually greenhouse doors are skinny anyways, so it worked out. So I just elongated the beams where I needed them to be, and I knew I wanted glass windows in the door, so I kept an opening in between the door, and then I wanted to make the window, so what I did was use a transparent basic shape cube and resized it to the size I needed, and then use structural beams, one standard size and one smaller size, I believe, and just went around the frame of it and also made like individual panels, I guess you would say, to make it look like basically how the pre-builts look. Yeah, so I tried to replicate that. And then when I needed the second one, I just simply copied and pasted and positioned them to where I needed them to be. And then I just used another structural to make the little gold handle for like how to open the door. Yeah, and since these are obviously custom, I can't open and close them, so I just left them flared out as if somebody opened it for fresh air, because in greenhouses you do need to let fresh air in because they can trap a lot of humidity. So, and sometimes humidity isn't great for plants, but it depends on the amount and the period of time that you have them in humidity. And here you can see me just finishing up this second door, and that was pretty much how the doors came out. Alright, so moving along, I wanted to add some structural beams for the sole reason that when I wanted to take pictures of this build, I wanted the light rays to shine through nicely and cast like a cascade of natural light in the shadows of the beam. And I wanted them in this, I guess, like tic-tac-toe pattern. I don't know. Yeah, I guess tic-tac-toe pattern kind of. So yeah, I think I did achieve that in the pictures, so yeah, I was happy about that. So that was the main reason for doing this. Also, obviously, the majority of the greenhouses I saw did have these beams on the roof, although their roofs were usually triangular. Mine was flat, but it still worked out. Okay, so I just added some lighting for outside, and then this is how the exterior looked. Alright, so moving on to the interior, I know this is controversial in the Bloxburg community, but sometimes I am a sucker for minimalistic and really heavy white colored builds. I just find them very satisfying and simplistic. So mostly, like literally every planter I used in here was colored white, and I think it made sense because our outside was literally white and the plants brought in enough color in my opinion, so I wanted to focus more on the peaceful aspect of gardening. So when I think of peace, I like the colors green, white, tan. I don't know if that's like synesthesia or whatever, but that's what comes to my mind. So yeah, another thing that I decided to do in the exterior was to kind of organize the plants in a way that made sense to me. So I guess I'm a person that likes things in certain categories. So I put the fruits and vegetables or produce, whatever you want to call it, mostly on one side and an organized straight line because, you know, that's me. And then I put my favorite two plants in the middle, and then on the right I put the rest of like flowers, sunflowers that I liked, and that pretty much wrapped up the majority of this build, and I ended up really liking it. No matter how simplistic or minimalistic it was, I think it reflects a lot of my style and personality, And sometimes I like to do cluttered builds, but other times I also like to just keep it simple and really enjoy what I'm making. I'd say maybe since it's like a fairly new year, just make sure that whatever you're doing, whether it's playing Bloxburg or something more serious like
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
life, just make sure that it's something that is making you truly happy.
Oh my god, bro.
That it's something that you really want to do, because that will make all the difference.
What?
I really don't know why I'm getting so intimate, but
oh, brother.
Anyways, I do want to like talk to you guys though, because that's enough about me. I want to know if you guys are doing anything fun. Just let me know down in the comments. Anything. Okay, so to the right we have all our flowers and roses or tulips, whatever. In the middle we have some tools, my favorite plants, and some gardening soil. To the right we have our strawberries, our tomatoes, carrots, watermelon, monstera, and corn, as well as some bees in a beehive to collect honey and a bug hotel. And then if we go out here, I can just show you guys the exterior in full. And I think it came out really beautiful. I love it. And yeah, on to outro. Alright guys, hope you guys really enjoyed this video. This was my build for spring. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Do all that YouTube stuff. I love you all. Stay rad. I'll see you next week. Bye.